Let's talk about the biggest myth people hold when they're dealing with a narcissist. The belief that if you're just kind enough, patient enough, loving enough, they'll change. That your consistent compassion will somehow reach that broken part of them and inspire them to treat you better. I get it. It comes from a good place, from the idea that everyone is human, everyone struggles, and everyone deserves empathy. But let me be very clear, when it comes to narcissists, niceness isn't healing, it's enabling. You see, narcissists are deeply strategic about how they absorb energy. They don't operate on the same emotional frequency you do. Where you give love with the hope of connection, they receive it as control. Your kindness becomes currency, and in their world, the more they extract from you without giving anything in return, the more powerful they feel. Being nice to a narcissist is like trying to quench a fire with gasoline. It doesn't calm the flames, it feeds them. And this is where so many people get caught in the trap. They believe that turning the other cheek is a strength. That being the bigger person means enduring the manipulation quietly. But there is a fundamental flaw in that thinking. It assumes the narcissist is playing by the same emotional rules. They're not. To a narcissist, kindness is not a virtue, it's leverage, it's an opening, it's a script they can exploit, twist, and rewrite to suit their narrative. You apologize even when you did nothing wrong. Great. Now they're the victim. You listen endlessly to their problems while yours are dismissed. Perfect. They've trained you to be their emotional sponge. You defend them to others while they tear you down behind closed doors. Excellent. You're now an unpaid PR agent for their ego. And it's subtle. It doesn't start with something obvious. It starts with little tests. Minor boundary crossings, backhanded compliments, quiet punishments for asserting yourself. And in response, you're nice, you make excuses, you rationalize, you overgive, you overforgive, you overstay. Why? Because the part of you that craves connection believes that love can fix this, that love can fix them. But what you don't realize is, your love is not being received as love. It's being processed as control. And a narcissist doesn't want connection, they want control. Your kindness, in that context, becomes the weapon they turn against you. The problem is, you keep showing up to the relationship with the wrong tools. You're bringing a heart to a power game. And in doing so, you're giving them everything they need to dominate you emotionally. They don't want to know you're kind. They want to know you're compliant. That's a harsh truth, but it's a liberating one once you accept it. Because once you recognize that your niceness is not neutral, that it's actually fuel, you can begin to withdraw it. And I don't mean you become cold or cruel. That's not the goal. The goal is to stop offering warmth where there is no mutual exchange. To stop trying to rescue someone who keeps pulling you under with them, to stop giving softness to someone who only sharpens it into a blade. Instead, pull back, be silent, be still. Let the narcissist feel the discomfort of your absence, not because you're trying to punish them, but because you're done rewarding bad behavior. Your energy is no longer free. Your love is no longer unconditional to someone who sees conditions as challenges to break. When you stop being nice to a narcissist, you're not being mean. You're being clear. You're being honest. You're saying, I no longer offer myself on the altar of your dysfunction. And in that moment, the dynamic shifts. You take back the emotional power you've been handing over little by little every time you said, it's okay, when it really wasn't. The irony is, once you stop being nice, once you start showing self-respect instead of forced patience, the narcissist will try harder. They'll panic, they'll love bomb, they'll gaslight, they'll try everything to pull you back into the dance. But you'll see it differently now. you won't fall for it, because now you know that being nice to someone who feeds on it isn't kindness, it's complicity. So here's the challenge I leave you with. Next time you feel the urge to be nice in the face of disrespect, stop. Pause. Ask yourself, am I doing this out of love or out of fear? Because true love, real, healthy, mutual love, never requires you to abandon yourself to maintain it. Let them starve on the silence they once used to hurt you. Let them choke on the distance they thought they could control. And most importantly, let your boundaries speak louder than your words ever could. If there's one thing you need to understand about narcissists, it's this: they don't recognize boundaries in the way emotionally healthy people do. To you, a boundary is a line meant to preserve peace and mutual respect. But to them, it's a challenge, an obstacle to push, break, or bypass entirely. Not because they necessarily want to hurt you, but because they fundamentally do not accept your autonomy. In their mind, your emotions, your space, your time. It all exists in service to their needs. And that's why traditional methods of boundary setting don't work well. You can't reason someone into respecting your limits when their entire emotional wiring is built around ignoring them. What usually happens is that people set boundaries like they're open negotiations. They say things like, I really need you to not talk to me that way. Or, I feel hurt when you do this, please stop. But what they're doing, without realizing it, is asking for permission. They're giving the narcissist a chance to validate their boundary, and that's where the entire effort falls apart. Because narcissists don't validate, they minimize, they deflect, they argue, and more dangerously, they pretend to agree only to violate that agreement later to reassert control. That's why you have to stop explaining yourself. You have to stop offering reasons that they can twist into debates. With narcissists, boundaries cannot be treated like moral conversations. They have to be treated like laws of nature. You don't argue with gravity. You don't need to justify the existence of oxygen. And likewise, you don't need to explain your emotional limits. They just are. The more you explain, the more you invite manipulation, the more you try to be understood. The more they misunderstand you on purpose, because misunderstanding is a way to keep you engaged. It keeps you explaining, defending, overthinking, second guessing. And while you're doing all that, they're doing one thing, watching how far they can push. But there's a better way. There's a quieter, more powerful way. You stop talking, you let your actions do the work. If they violate your boundary, you don't yell, you exit. If they try to bait you into an argument, you don't fight, you disengage. If they cross a line repeatedly, you don't plead, you walk. And you don't announce it in advance. You don't warn them with, if you do this one more time, you just do it. You show them not with drama, not with rage, but with absolute clarity, that you will no longer participate in your own disrespect. What you'll notice is that they won't take this well. At first, they'll ramp up the manipulation. They'll say you're being cold, selfish, cruel. They'll flip the script and make you feel like the abuser, because the moment you stop letting them define your emotional world, they lose control. And narcissists don't react well to losing control. But let me tell you something. That's not your problem. You are not responsible for their discomfort when you stop betraying yourself. You are not required to feel guilty for protecting your peace. You are not unkind for being clear. This is about energetic boundaries now, not just spoken ones. It's about how you carry yourself, how you move, How you stop giving your emotional resources to someone who has made it clear they only value them when it benefits their agenda. When you shift your energy, when you stop responding, stop engaging, stop reacting, they will feel it. And more importantly, you will feel it. You'll feel your self-respect returning. You'll feel your mind clearing. You'll feel your inner voice growing louder than the noise they created. And don't be surprised if, in that silence, they suddenly become charming again. That's the test. They'll try to re-enter through flattery, false apologies, promises of change, but don't fall for the script you've already seen before. Their words don't matter, watch the pattern, and your only job is to stay rooted. Stay grounded in your truth. Don't let your old habit of needing to be liked sabotage your new reality of needing to be free. You're not abandoning them. You're honoring yourself. There's a difference, because boundaries are not walls meant to punish, they are filters meant to protect. And the moment you start treating them that way, the whole dynamic shifts. You stop trying to manage someone else's dysfunction, and you start managing your own freedom. So here's the truth that many people don't want to accept, but absolutely need to hear. You don't need a narcissist to respect your boundary. You just need to respect it enough yourself to enforce it without apology. Let them be confused. Let them be angry. Let them call you every name in the book, but don't let them back into the place you had to fight your way out of. Self-respect is not loud, it's not angry, it's not performative, it's silent, firm, and immovable. And the moment you stop asking for permission to protect your peace, you finally begin to feel what true freedom actually tastes like. One of the most painful realizations when dealing with a narcissist is this: they will never give you the validation you're craving. Not because you don't deserve it, but because if they gave it to you, even for a moment, they'd lose control. Validation is power, and narcissists withhold it like oxygen, only offering tiny doses to keep you emotionally dependent. They dangle it in front of you just long enough to keep you hooked, then pull it away the moment you start to feel secure. This creates a psychological loop that's incredibly difficult to break. You start trying harder, you become more thoughtful, more accommodating, more patient. You think, maybe if I just say it different, maybe if I show them how much I care, maybe then they'll see me, hear me, love me the way I need to be loved. But they won't, and the deeper tragedy is that, over time, you begin to internalize this absence of recognition as a reflection of your worth. You start thinking, maybe I'm too sensitive, maybe I expect too much, maybe I'm the problem, but you're not. The real problem is that you're looking to be seen by someone who only ever looks in the mirror. And this is where the shift needs to happen. You have to stop chasing external validation from someone emotionally unequipped to give it. You have to stop giving them the role of emotional judge, jury, and executioner in your life. Because the longer you do, the more you lose connection with your own truth. Your self-worth begins to revolve around their moods, their responses, their moments of approval. And that is not love. It's emotional imprisonment. The work, then, is not to get the narcissist to see your value. The work is to stop needing them to. And I know that sounds easier said than done, especially when your heart is invested. But think about it this way: if you keep handing someone the power to define your worth, and they keep using it against you, at what point do you take it back? Taking it back means learning how to validate yourself without external permission. It means learning to stand in your truth even when it's not acknowledged. Even when it's mocked, even when it's met with silence, that kind of self-validation isn't ego, it's survival. It's what allows you to stay grounded in your identity when someone else is constantly trying to destabilize it. And this doesn't mean you become arrogant or emotionally closed. It means you stop outsourcing your self-esteem. It means you no longer hinge your emotional peace on whether someone else gets it. Because if you're waiting for a narcissist to understand your feelings, you're going to be waiting a long time. And in the process, you'll abandon yourself just to stay in the room with someone who was never really listening. This is the trap. You confuse the absence of validation with the absence of truth. But just because they don't see it doesn't mean it's not real. Just because they don't affirm you doesn't mean you're wrong. And just because they withhold praise doesn't mean you're not worthy of it. Start shifting the focus. Every time you catch yourself trying to explain yourself to them, redirect that energy inward. Ask yourself, do I believe what I'm saying? Do I trust my perception? Do I stand by my feelings, even if they never do? That's the work. That's the muscle you need to build, because the truth is, you don't need closure from them. You don't need agreement. You don't need to be proven right in their eyes. You need to be right in your eyes. And yes, there will be moments where the silence feels unbearable, moments where you desperately want to break your own boundaries just to feel seen. But that's the illusion. The narcissist isn't seeing you, they're managing you. They're shaping you into someone easier to control. And when you stop needing their validation, you break that spell. You step out of the performance. You stop being a character in their story, and you start writing your own. So here's the truth no one tells you: real validation. The kind that actually heals doesn't come from being chosen by someone who couldn't love you properly. It comes from choosing yourself, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. You are not too sensitive. You are not too emotional. You are not asking for too much. You're asking the wrong person to meet you at a level they are incapable of reaching. And that is not your failure. It's their limitation. Let that sink in. Their inability to love you in a healthy way is not a commentary on your lovability. It's a mirror reflecting their emotional capacity, and the moment you stop taking that personally, you finally set yourself free. Stop chasing their validation. Start becoming the kind of person who no longer needs it. There comes a point when you realize that words no longer work. You've explained, you've reasoned, you've cried, you've pleaded, but nothing changes. In fact,